Quiet on set. And action. Would you like to get on record the fundamental paradox of my creative life? That I am happy to make bad movies, one a year until I die at the age of 93, stabbed by an ex-lover. But I'm also determined to a degree that would strike most people as insanity to get good at this. Hey, I'm David Axe. I wrote and directed this thing you're about to see called Acorn. Mostly, it's about making a movie and the kinds of people who make movies, why they do it, and whether they care, whether they fail. This is, I don't know, I've made several features. This is the best so far, I think. I have made some bad movies. Woo! It's a learning experience, right? You're putting yourself through film school by making something, making anything, and trying to finish it. I think more and more, I love the story of making a movie as much as I love the story that the movie tells, which is important because that's what this movie is about. This is not everyone knows this, Cleve. Acorn is the seed of an idea that grows into a tree of a movie. Oh my God.
What is the movie Acorn about?
Oh God.
There's a lot of different facets to Acorn.
No one can tell you what the movie Acorn is about.
It's a movie about people watching movies, one of which is a movie about movies.
I mean, like the tree and everything. I don't know. Oh, God, it's so hard to explain this. Good Lord.
So Acorn is about a filmmaker, a young female filmmaker who makes B movies, you know, things that aren't that great. She unfortunately gets a cancer diagnosis and is given 6 months to live, and she decides that she's going to use those 6 months and make one last movie. And it is actually a metaphor for her own cancer diagnosis and her own death, which I think is really beautiful. She kind of doubles down on her strongest traits, be it good or bad, to finish this thing and to make sure that people see her legacy.
4 years ago, I dug up the seed of the story that would become the movie Acorn that we made in 2022. It started with a dumb idea. The dumb idea was a man-eating tree. You could write a very bad horror movie around the idea of a man-eating tree. Wasn't going to do that. Acorn really took shape when I asked myself a hard question. Is it okay to be a bad filmmaker? And my answer was yes. There are lots of us. And I think a lot of us find a lot of joy and meaning in making bad movies. Or at least cheap movies that are usually bad.
There's no such thing as good movies and bad movies, Letha. Just finished and unfinished ones. Finished ones end with butts and seats and moving images on a screen. Unfinished ones end with abandoned footage, hurt feelings, blame.
Most micro-budget indie productions fail. Most of them don't actually produce movies. They collapse, people quit. You know, people paper over their failure with lies like, oh, we'll finish it later. But most people who set out to make a cheap movie don't finish their movie. Which is why finishing my movies is my first and most important philosophical tenet. I will always finish my movies even if they're terrible. In the mid-'80s, my two brothers and I ran around in our basement making action movies. Did some very rudimentary in-camera editing, like point our little plastic guns at each other and go bang, 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 and then cut and apply ketchup, and then roll. I wrote my first serious spec scripts in 2010. I decided to start making my own movies after nearly a decade of pouring my sweat, blood, and tears into other people's projects, for which I was very, very rarely paid, and when I was paid very little. The only way that I was going to become a filmmaker, to say nothing of a good filmmaker, but any filmmaker, even a bad one, is I would have to just start making stuff, pick up a camera, point it at something, and learn how to shoot, how to edit. I was going to have to start doing this on my own with whatever resources I had, and simply accept years of embarrassment and failure, because the embarrassment and failure are the real currency of the self-starting, semi-talented filmmaker. If you can endure years of embarrassment and failure and credit card debt, then maybe you'll get good at it, or good enough that you're no longer embarrassing. My goal all along has been to make at least one small movie a year until I'm good at it.
That's bold. It's a production cycle, and if you are comfortable in it and you stick with it, then he will make a film every year. God help us.
So I've made 7 features in 7 years. I'm on schedule, a movie a year until I get good at it. Maybe 3 of them I don't have to apologize for. But you know what? I'm okay with that. That's not bad. The story that I tell is that I get drunk and then have no memory of what I've written. That's not actually true. The reality of screenwriting is me sitting in front of this computer over here for hundreds of hours, executing an idea that I have thought about probably for years, and that I've outlined before beginning to write, and that is constantly shaped by my growing experience actually shooting the scripts that I write.
I think David is very aware of the size of production that he's working with, and when he's talking about these projects, he's always very attuned to what they do and don't have versus just his vision and just his idea for the story and thinking, oh, it's such a great idea. It's like, no, he's talking about how it's going to get made just as much as the idea itself.
There's a real art to writing a script that people can actually make. You have to write for the filmmaking process, for the realities of how productions work. So it's not just about writing compelling characters and interesting stories, but you have to write the kinds of characters you can cast with the budgets that you're likely to have.
Having a compelling character is number one. That trumps how good of equipment you have. It trumps the lenses, the lighting. If you're shooting a $10,000 feature, don't try to convince people that you had $1 million. Shoot with $10,000 and be very realistic about what $10,000 can do. Audiences are just too sophisticated. You can't trick them into thinking that you had way more money than you did. So I think shooting from intention and just understanding that your budget isn't an obstacle, it is just a given.
Low-budget indie films are important because of their art. They're important because they can't make money. Most of them, the overwhelming majority. When you create something for the sheer joy, satisfaction of creating, that's art.
I think when people say Hollywood, they think of something polished, they think of big budget, they think of something that maybe conforms to safety, whereas independent film to me is something that can be wilder. It can tackle things that other productions don't want to risk.
You get to be a rebel. You get to tell your story the way you want to tell your story without being bound to anything, really. It's the expression, the freedom of expression that you have is invaluable. You just need to make it work, and you need to make it count.
Because we are drunken fools, we shot 2 movies at the same time. In Acorn, our hero has time and money to make one more movie. And that movie is called Die Standing Up. At some point while writing Acorn, I just figured, why not write Die Standing Up too? How hard could it be? We'll just shoot them both at the same time. So we did. In 3 weeks, we made 2 movies and then put them in a blender and, you know, edited together one feature from 2 movies. But it was insane. It was insane.
And originally, I thought I was just playing Jenny's character, who is the girl who Chloe wants to take over and like be the lead in her film, but she says no. And that's my role in Acorn. I'm like in the movie world, off filming another movie. And then David was like, so by the way, since we're gonna have like half of the film within the film done, we're just gonna finish it out. And you're gonna be the lead for that because, you know, the way the story goes. Yeah, I'd take over and I'm the lead in the movie within the movie. And it was exciting. Like I love the storyline and the idea behind it. Instead of dying from brain cancer, Tilda is dying from a monster bite on her head that's killing her. Similar to Chloe trying to finish the film, Tilda is trying to find this tree to give her everlasting life or whatever.
You said its seed gives salvation in a nutshell. No. You're gonna tell me where that tree is.
The tree's a metaphor, the act of creation. You plant that seed and it grows into a thing that grows into a thing that grows into a thing. That's how I see film production. Acorn is a movie about the seed of an idea that grows into the tree of a production that propagates itself. Or something.
There's that quote that people always say that first comes to my mind. Basically, the measure of a life is how many lives you touch. She's giving her speech at the end, and she says,
I've realized something. This isn't about me. It's about you. Us. The stories we tell. Stories about stories about stories.
she's not just making this movie for her. She's making this movie for the other people who are involved, the other people whose lives it's touching.
She leaves behind the seeds of future movies, future film productions. The framing device is some of our characters watching these movies in a theater. Right? One is the documentarian. The other two, one is her DP, her closest creative collaborator, also boyfriend, who presumably will go on to make movies of his own. And then the lowliest of her crew, a PA, character called Letha, who shows up because she thinks it'd be fun to make a movie. People like that, who on a whim answer an impulse to pursue a bad idea, that is making a movie, who with time become filmmakers themselves. Over the course of making 7 or 8 movies, I have surrounded myself with a lot of people who are maybe not as crazy as me, but nearly. I've got an assistant director, Cleve Langdale, who is priceless.
So on our set of 1AD, it's really more of a catch-all title than anything else. It just means that you're going to be doing everything. Something needs to be carried, if people need to be gotten. You need people on set who can produce anything at a moment's notice. Oh my God, this needs to be in the background. Can we make this happen? It's like, I don't know, give me 20 minutes. Getting to spend time with Morgan and doing it as a team over the last couple of years has been, it's not a vacation. It's more of an adventure each time. We're not going to some tropical paradise and relaxing by the seashore. We're strapping on our boots and putting on our headbands and marching through the Amazon for weeks at a time. We do difficult things as a vacation. We end up with a movie as a result.
On set is probably the place I am happiest. Like, you're always surrounded by great people. It's the best office you could ever ask for. It really is, because it's different every day. Like, you know, some days you're out in the middle of the woods peeing in a hole, and other days you're in a mansion. You know, it's insane. I was actually living in Chloe's apartment, which was cool, and it kind of helped me like feel comfortable in the space when we were filming there. The rest of it was really in walking distance from that apartment. The movie theater, the warehouse where we shot all of the spaceship scenes.
It's dirty, hard work. And a lot of people have an idealized version of what making a movie is, you know, that you're always in the limelight and it's a sexy process. But the truth of the matter is it's long nights, it's not the greatest craft catering, it's hard.
Gosh, there's some long days and you get exhausted. And when you're exhausted at the end of the day and you've got to have energy levels that are way up here, you got to fake it. So there's lots of caffeine on occasion.
So usually we would get up at around between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning. And you know, in order to get ready and all that and be on set at 8. A couple of meal breaks, but mostly just going to the location and shooting and shooting and shooting until we got what we needed. We did have a lot of night scenes, so most of the days we were shooting until, you know, 10, 11, 12 at night. I think the latest we went was probably 1:30 or 2 in the morning.
You are kind of wasting your day if you only have 8 hours. So you try to film for 12 hours, but that's not 12 hours of total work. That's 12 hours of filming. You can do 16 hours, and that technically gives you 8 hours to rest before you're back. 5-6 hours of sleep, followed by another 16-hour day. And we're proud of the length of the days that we put in, followed by the quick turnaround, compared to the amount and the quality of footage that we produce. That's a part of the thrill, that's a part of the rush for us. So when we see the completed project of what we were able to do in 3 weeks for less than it costs to cater a professional film, then that really makes our day, that really makes it worth it.
When you stretch out a tiny micro-budget movie over time, independent variables interfere with the production. Weather, illness, technical failures, and people problems. And they can intervene in your production even if you're doing everything right.
I don't think we'd ever canceled a scene for weather before. We had a hurricane go right over us while we were shooting Shed, and it just wasn't quite bad enough to cancel everything, so we kept on going. But there was one night on set of Acorn where it was so cold that our actors couldn't deliver their lines through their chattering teeth.
Pretty sure I did lose feeling in my toes for a little bit. It was right at that cold snap and we were out in the field.
Camera! Rolling! Sound! Speeding! Bill, you good?
As good as I'm gonna be.
Action!
Had to be out there to yell cut. But I had to keep the continuity going and everything, so I had a t-shirt and some ripped up khaki pants kind of thing. And it was so cold, we could see our breath and I was freezing. And I remember every time we got oh, okay, let's get 10, everyone get 10. I would jump into Chase's car and he'd have that heat blaring. I was like, ah, oh, I'm so cold, I can't breathe.
Beowulf, which is a movie that should have failed because it was one of the most cursed productions that I've ever heard of. We arrived on set in early 2021. COVID was a very big deal and the vaccines had just become available. Day one of our leads shows up with a necrotic spider bite and we immediately send him to the hospital. The same day, one of our other leads test positive for COVID. My choices were to delay the movie that had already been delayed a year because of COVID, which would have meant eating a lot of costs. I could have canceled the movie, which is anathema to me, or I could sit down in one afternoon and rewrite the script. And that's what I did. I sat down and rewrote the movie in a couple hours. It was madness. Everyone was there. We were already on set, and I'm writing in pencil. It was insane. And I come emerging out of our hair and makeup tent with a sweaty wad of penciled in script pages, wild-eyed, disheveled, half mad. And I was like, get your asses in gear, people, we're making something. And we did, we made something.
When I had to cancel out because of the cellulitis, my role would have been the King of Denmark. He took Rachel, who was supposed to be my wife, and put her in the throne, and she did the movie from a female viewpoint. And I thought it was strong as death.
It takes a team to make it work. But if somebody doesn't do their job, it's on the director to get it finished. David is running around like a chicken with his head cut off. We're trying to finish 2 feature films in 2.5 weeks. You know, people don't always do what they're supposed to do. There's the working on set because it's cool to work on set and, you know, hang out. And then there's the being on set to make a movie. And you get to find out really quickly who's on set just to hang out.
You need folks you know are going to show up, know the script, deliver lines, even if they're not America's greatest actors. They're going to be reliable, they believe in you, they believe that maybe this is finally going to be the one that's going to make it all worth it, or they pretend to, and they show up. They fucking show up, because you'd be shocked, or maybe you wouldn't. You have gone to all the trouble of writing a movie, you've got some money to make it, you cast people, you've done a table read, you've checked in with them, you've got their measurements, you've got wardrobe, you've designed effects around them, and they just don't show up. They just don't show up. They may have an excuse, they may not have an excuse, they just don't show up.
Once you kind of start to wrap your head around just how big the machinery is of making a feature film, it's extremely overwhelming. And you quickly find out that you'll never be able to overcome all of the challenges. It's really about, you know, you've got 100 things to do for the movie, and you've only got time to do 10. And so you got to pick the right 10 things to do to make the movie just at least get off the ground.
The whole reason that I decided to produce Acorn when I did is that I thought I had access to a new Old West set.
Yeah, the old Warrenton set had a great cameo. It died the way it lived, which is how it is featured in this movie.
You're not easy to pin down.
Hard at work here.
Ian said we should be able to shoot there in a week.
Yeah, we got everything you could need here. We got a saloon, we got tumbleweeds, we've got a hotel. Yeah, you're gonna love the place. Old Warrenton was an idea that was thought up by a former partner of mine. We were able to film just that one scene. The idea was that with construction ongoing, if we didn't grab that footage then, we would be unable to capture the scene as it was written with the town only half complete. By the time we got back to starting production, to filming the movie, Old Warrenton had been shut down. The lease hadn't been paid for about 6 months. The controlling partner was no longer on speaking terms with me or any of the other partners, and a guy got shot on set. There was a client that was brought in by this controlling partner. They were a military reenactment company, reenacting scenes from the video game Stalker. They had military experience, they had firearms training and knowledge, and and strict on-set disciplines regarding no live ammo. But somebody showed up, and it was his first time at one of these events, and he had his personal firearm on his side, and when he pulled it out of the holster, there was a hot round in the chamber. He drew the firearm from its holster, that hot round went off, and it nearly killed the man who was on the other end. Fortunately, the set designer was a decorated Army medic who had been combat deployed to Afghanistan and knew exactly what to do, and he saved that young man's life. The infamous Alec Baldwin shooting on the set of Rust had occurred only 2 months or so prior to that. And combined with all of the other factors, the county pulled the zoning variance that allowed that space to be used as a studio.
Fortunately, this problem I became aware of it while we were already shooting, so I was too busy to be terrified, because I should have been.
The majority of the movie is shot in the present day. So, 80% of the film you could pick up without having a Western town. So that could be picked up at some other time, that could be shot as a separate unit. And David's reaction was, no effing way. I have the schedule that I have the budget that I have. And at that point, he'd already spent $10,000 getting ready for the movie. And without the Western set, for him as an artist, as a filmmaker, the movie wouldn't work. It wouldn't be worth shooting. So then what's the Western town that we have in Acorn? Well, it's a great trick, because it turned out that there was a little place just down the road. It's actually in the next county over. It's called Sexton Farms.
Brendan got us access to that site. It looked great. We only somewhat wrecked it. We could afford it, amazingly. And it turned out to be better than the Old West set where people were getting shot that we had originally planned to shoot on.
You cannot have anybody on that set in that process that pulls away from it. It all has to pull as a team.
Everything from our catering on up through extra wrangling, and you're going through wardrobe. Tons of different people, the special effects teams, tons of different people in order to make these moments look beautiful. It's a lot of work for everybody involved, but it's a team. And you learn to trust the people that you're working with.
As I said, I worked more as a set carpenter than anything else. I was in there the one putting the actor in the tree suit.
Oh, the tree suit. Oh, that cracks me up to this day.
A tree suit.
Tree suit?
Tree suit.
And that was an interesting thing. It had to look like an amateur built it, but it had to work. And I built this monstrosity of a costume that still makes me laugh when I think about it.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
If you squint, close your eyes and squint, cock your head a little bit, you could almost imagine it's a tree. It worked for the movie.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
Can we do it quickly?
No, you can't. You need to have someone standing by to take that head off if it gets too painful. No, seriously, you okay?
Go for it. Let's roll.
We had this gentleman, Tom, who was wearing the tree suit, and he sweated so profusely. Like when we finally got him out of the suit, he was white and shaking. Little things like that, 5 seconds, 10 seconds on screen, but like they're a physical toll for Tom for that day. I mean, he's fine. We didn't kill him or anything, despite our best efforts.
Tilda to the shot girl. Is this the town that guards the devil tree? Are you seeing this?
Yeah. My parents have some property up in Blythewood. There's a pond that we've shot some scenes around. And up on a hill, there's what used to be an old farmhouse. Morgan and I were walking through the woods one day, just walking by the same spot that we'd walked 100 times. Then we look up and we're like, huh, does that look like a DoubleTree to you? Well, don't turn your back on it, but I'm gonna call David and say we found his DoubleTree. He loved it. It is quite a creepy tree. I'm still torn as to whether we should cut it down or just leave it alone. But it wasn't fucking there. I swear I've never seen that tree before. Just showed up out of the blue.
Effects people are a special breed. You give them some outrageous task like shove sentient tree branches through a realistic looking head, preferably through the eyeballs. Can you rig that up? Or I need an entire human being to look like they're walking around with no skin. What would that take? And can you do it in the winter so that they're not uncomfortable? So you give your effects people these absurd fucking tasks and sort of like forget about it. Like, oh, here's $400 and a crazy job. Let me know when it's done. We are blessed to have worked with effects techs. Hayden Bogan is a great example, who are up to the task of executing your absurd vision with nothing but latex, a bike pump, and 2 hours.
Bang, and on bang it will go. Okay. All right, so 3, 2, 1.
Lovely. I do giggle every time we have to just douse an actor in blood and then make them sit there in that sticky, cold ickiness while we get whatever shots we have to get.
Clayton is stoked. I love how excited you are about
Oh man.
All right.
Do it.
Ruination, here it comes.
So sorry. Get the front, get her chest.
Can you tilt your head back so I can get it down your face?
Jesus. Oh my God. Okay, now save some for resets.
Because like I've definitely been there. There was a film where I played a skinless monster, and it doesn't get much colder than skinless goopy monster in February. I mean, just the airbrushing alone was extremely cold. Just somebody spraying cold mist on you bit by bit for like an hour. And then, all right, let's wet them up with fake blood, and then let's get the lighting right. You cold, Cleve? That's tough.
There's 1/10 of a second, maybe half a second clip of Cleve Langdale going through a glass window.
Here we go, Caylin action.
You hear that, Cleve? I threw you out the window.
I was in the warehouse while they were all filming the rest of the movie. So I researched on that for a month or two and learned how to make clear panes of glass out of beet sugar. And we hung it in a storefront, and I held my breath the whole time, and it worked.
So we'll do our tussle for a few beats, relax, reset, get ready for the push, okay?
So Raj had to punch me and I had to go through the glass, and what we should have done was set it up like 8 feet off the ground and get multiple cameras, multiple angles, and have me fall like a good distance. And for safety's sake, instead we had it like 2 feet off the ground, and so I barely fall at all, and we wasted Mike's efforts, I think. We should have made it way more grand, a lot more falling, and Raj, god damn it, Raj, he's the nicest guy in the world. I don't care what anybody says. No, I'm just kidding, nobody says anything bad about Raj because he's the nicest guy in the world. He's the kind of guy who's, when he's supposed to be punching you through a window, he'll be like, are you okay? Did that hurt? I'm sorry, man, I really don't want to hit you. Dude, we're rolling. We only have one shot at this. Hit me, I don't care, please.
What are you doing with your fists? That's so weird.
Okay.
How much tussle do you have? Go ahead, don't be a clown about it. There you go. Good.
I mostly feel bad for Mike. So much effort. He spent a long time making that frame, and he did an amazing job, and the rest of us suck.
I think probably the greatest challenge is cast. You know, when you're a writer and you're a director, you have an idea of the way performances need to be presented to tell your story.
I should stress, I really love actors. I just don't understand them because I'm not one. And I have been in some of my movies by necessity because we ran out of people. So I had to shove myself into the fucking cast. Didn't do it happily, never know what to do with my hands. Do a lot of like grimacing and blinking too much because I'm not an actor and I don't know what it means to act. It's not just behaving, despite what others say, it's not just behaving normally in front of a camera because sometimes normal plays weird. You gotta act normal, which is different than being normal. So anyway, you get these actors on set and you have to actually make a good movie, you have to help them act. Okay, so now that I know that, 7 movies in, it really is becoming a top priority and a real joy.
And action.
Ask your dad where my head's at. Ask them what happens next. Step aside, Colonel, or we'll be having this conversation sooner than later.
Thanks a lot, Miss Summer. We'll be in touch.
First of all, casting is critical. Cast the best possible actor that you can afford for your role. Don't cast people as a favor.
Acting itself is a deep, rich discipline. Just because someone is funny or dramatic and charismatic when there's no cameras running does not mean that they will recapitulate any of that in the really artificial conditions of filmmaking, where you have lights glaring in your eyes, you have camera rolling, you have 30 crew people. Yeah, I wish. You have 4 or 5 crew people muttering and wandering around. Everybody's hot, everybody's hungry, everybody's tired. And under those conditions, your charismatic friend who can go on and make leave everybody in stitches laughing suddenly blanks.
Get them on set and figure out what their process is, because each one needs different kinds of support to deliver the performance you need to make your movie the best possible version of itself. I will give you a great example. Caylin Sams shot a promotional short with her.
Acorn teaser, shot 1, take 2.
We're making a movie called Acorn. We've got a great cast of sexy B-movie actors. We've got laser guns, monster costumes, and a man-eating tree.
I don't know, somewhere along the way of, casting her and working with her on a short, saw a little glimmer of something in her that I don't understand. The ability to love and inhabit a well-written character. Now, for me, that was both revelatory, like, oh my God, here is a living human being who can embody a fictional human being. But it was also terrifying, because I then realized that I have to give her the character and the words for her to build a living fictional being around. And the pressure is enormous. Every actor needs something different from their director. Some actors need a lot of notes, a lot of correction, a lot of new ideas on set. Oh, let's try it this way, let's try it this way. Some actors need peace and quiet. You need to literally shut everyone up around them and slow everything down so that they can, and you can see it happen, they sort of turn inward in their mind to access either their intellectual conception of the character or some kind of feeling that may even be from their past or their present, and they tap that to create a character and embody that, right? You have to literally create calm and quiet around them by controlling your rambunctious, possibly drunk and high crew and getting them to shut the fuck up so that your actor can focus.
I think I came in day 5 of shooting. My first day on set was filming Space Babe.
You're just a girl.
I'm not a girl, I'm a babe. A space babe!
I didn't think I did a very good job. I was like, that did not go the best. David really had to pull a lot out of me that I felt like I shouldn't have put him in that position, like I should have been more prepared. Now it's my turn to be Tilda, this bad A rebel, Western style. I've got 3 guns, I've got like I carry on a knife. And the whole time, David's like, oh, by the way, don't worry about an accent. Like, I know it's a Western, but like, just don't worry about an accent, it's fine. And so I'm like, okay, I didn't worry about the accent. 5 minutes before we go film the first scene for Die Standing Up, David's like, oh, by the way, could you do an accent? And I'm like, Oh God, so I'm the kind of person who needs time to like practice things like that.
Tell me, girl, is this the town that guards the devil tree?
I don't like to go out and make myself look like an idiot doing some stupid like fake sounding accent, but it was fine. Like I can try and like whip something up. And my boots were like 8 sizes too big, and I was like carrying around all these guns, and I looked freaking awkward, and I felt awkward. I just got so in my head. There were like so many people shouting like directions at me, and the bubble that I was in, or the horse blinders that I've had on, just completely went away. And I was kicking myself because there's so many things I could have done better to prepare myself for that moment, and I should have known. I knew I was gonna have guns. Why did I not go to the gun range and at least just practice holding a gun to feel more comfortable? Because I took so long. We were really struggling to get the townie scene done, and we didn't. We lost light. Oh my gosh, I thought David was gonna fire me. I called my family that night and I was like, hey, I've spent all this time doing this, and I'm gonna go home and quit and just leave this all behind. Like, that was a really hard thing for me to think about, because it's all I've ever really wanted to do was perform and create, and, you know, especially film, because I love it. And like coming to the conclusion in my head that I wasn't gonna be able to do it was really hard for me. My mom was like, if you come home and you wanna not do it anymore, great, but just keep going. Just put your head down, do your thing, you're fine, you're gonna be fine, just like do it. There's this line that my character has.
You either die on your back or on your feet. For me, it's not really a choice.
To me, that meant you have to keep going. Like, there's not a choice. Keep going, do your thing, learn from it. You'll be better if you do, and just get through this, do the best you can do.
Editing is like writing in the sense that no one can stop you. Weather doesn't matter. It's no longer a matter of money. Yeah, it's just you and a machine and time. And a lot of mouse clicks. Once it starts to come together, you get excited. You start moving faster. You can see the movie. You can see your end goal. And then 6 to 9 months after principal photography wrapped, you have a movie. And then what? Because we are drunken fools, we shot 2 movies at the same time. And we had a gigantic basket of footage. Cutting this movie together, first of all, shouldn't have been as hard as it was, because no sane person should make 2 movies at the same time when those 2 movies are necessarily related. In our case, because the Western reflected decisions that the characters made in the movie about the Western, because they recast, and the director died and her job got taken over by another director. So, and that was all reflected in the Western. Like, there are literally 3 or 4 different actors playing the main character in Die Standing Up. You maybe can't tell unless you know to look, but I can tell. And it was by design, because that movie was meant to fold into the movie about the making of that movie.
So David was in a great dilemma when he pulled out the rough cut to screen for us, because he had 2 entirely separate films. And Die Standing Up was too short to work as a feature of its own.
So Acorn was a deeply unsatisfying experience to premiere, because we didn't premiere the entire movie. We premiered the half of it that was Acorn. We did not premiere the entire final cut that combined Acorn and Die Standing Up into the final version of the movie that I think it always wanted to be.
So the first time I watched Acorn was actually really special, I guess is the right word. Almost exactly a month after we wrapped principal photography, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so from that point on, I was living through with her what I had just acted out in a film, and it was wild, like it was weird. But then the first, when it was finally put together, she was partway through her chemotherapy, and I invited her to come watch it with me. I was terrified, because I was like, I I hope I did a good job. Like, I hope I, you know, portrayed these feelings well enough. And after we watched it, she was like, you know, that freak out you had in the car, that was good. That was really real. That's what I did. And my stepdad told me that it felt like he had just watched a real movie. And I was like, you know what, I'll take it. Like thank y'all, I'm glad. So they really liked that first cut as well, which was like a relief, to say the least.
I'm not a girl. I'm a babe. Like space, babe!
Forced perspective for some of the shots. Tree suit.
But I knew that we weren't done because we had left aside the movie within the movie. Do I cut two separate movies that are related? Is it one movie that includes very little of the other? Is it Acorn, cut, die standing up? You just glue them together? Do you blend them? Does one contain the other? So like, yeah, what do you do when you've embarked upon this insane mission to make a movie about a movie about a movie about a movie and you shot all of it? What do? Do you cut your 3-hour magnum opus when you are nobody with no audience and the movie maybe isn't always great on a sound and picture level? And who are you going to sell that to? You're certainly not going to show it at any film festivals because they don't want a 3-hour movie. They don't even want a 2-hour movie. Yeah, so what the hell do you do? So we kind of fucked ourselves into a corner with what should have been the final cut of Acorn.
If you do have the luxury of watching a production be created, you start to appreciate all the subtle changes that can take place. And in some of David's earlier movies, he may have come over and project them on the screen downstairs to do sound tests or to watch it in a different way instead of his laptop and headphones to find out how the pacing goes or how a certain editing timing might work out. And that I was able to catch glimpses of. And so you can see, oh, he really did kind of tune something in a new direction that you can appreciate. And in fact, I think with Acorn, he had at one point perhaps 3 to 5 versions of the film. Complete different edits, where these two films were blended together in a way that were very different because you learned different elements of the narrative at different points in the story, and it had a different impact.
I think we landed where we needed to. It wasn't an easy process. There were many, many screenings. I got a lot of feedback from a lot of people. I'm 100% open to outside criticism. I need it. I want it. But what do you do when the criticism comes from two opposite directions? Even my distributor said, I kind of like the Western better. I was like, nope. I said, no, these movies are part of each other. As she says in the movie itself,
soon, her whole life will be a story someone else badly tells.
And we see that story baked inside of the movie she tried and failed to make as she died. We have to show that movie. It's the rest of her life. It's the rest of her identity. It's her soul on celluloid. How could we not see it? How could we couldn't, it's half a movie to watch a filmmaker lay her body and her life down on the altar of her production and then not show the thing that eventually came out of it. It took a very painful process very late in post-production to carve out every single unnecessary second of that combined cut to squeeze what became the final version of Acorn into a less than 2-hour movie. And we cut stuff that we spent days shooting.
It's really easy to be stuck to like one thing or not want to give up some scenes or not want to, change it from the original idea. And he just did. He just like took the blood, sweat, and tears from each movie that we filmed and just like fused it together without, you know, putting himself in a box.
I'm not sure which version we're on, like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 in terms of the edit, but it's his best one yet, in my opinion, as far as being able to tackle a serious subject, have a few elements of humor, beautifully shot and lit.
I dig it a lot.
It's his best film. He did it. He pulled it off, and that is an accomplishment. Because, as I said earlier, it was an audacious, you know, idea. So I'm very happy that he found the film and made the film the way it is. But you know, I'm always also one of his friends who's constantly saying, "Fantastic, what's next?"
I am absurdly, ludicrously dedicated to the bad idea of starting nowhere and getting to that movie, to a good movie, to making a good movie. And I'll know it when I've done it. And I will do whatever I have to, knowing full well that I am not equipped to do this, because I am not a genius, and I am not always nice. I'm definitely not a people person. But I really want this, really bad. So I'm going to make bad movies cheaply and happily at the same time that I desperately want to make a good one.
It's definitely a dialogue between you, meaning a director, and the audience, because if someone makes an oblique film that no one understands, maybe the director hasn't really done their job of translating their vision. However, you don't want to pander too much to an imaginary audience because you don't want to water down your vision. I think that's maybe a struggle that is best asked of writers and directors, because each of them have to find a different balance in that process. Yeah. But again, I think independent cinema gives people the leeway to be more risky, to pursue their idea in priority of audience ratings, because they probably know at the end of the day they're not going to be making millions of dollars off of a production, which means they can say, fuck it, I'm going to do my thing and hope it resonates.
The market keeps changing, and the sheer number of titles available today is incredible. You need to find a way to stand out. You need to be different from the rest, while at the same time having a good story to tell.
A lot of filmmakers think of festivals as the end of the line, or that it's, you know, because we don't have studio backing or, you know, celebrity endorsements, everybody thinks that festivals are the only way through and that that's the gateway, and they start like making things to appease festival sensibilities. And I found out that festivals are just a part of the process. You could almost completely skip festivals and it really won't make a difference in terms of your movie getting out there to an audience. The quality of the movie and what the movie is about is going to determine whether an audience likes it or not.
But I learned a long time ago, you cannot tell the audience what to do. All you can do is do it, put it in front of them, and they will make the decision. Some of them are going to throw rocks, some of them are going to throw money. Either way, it's going to be that way, and that's been that way since the beginning of time.
We know that most low-budget filmmakers are never going to have the next viral hit, or win fame, or glory. So fame and glory is going to be basically the bonus. Nobody goes into independent filmmaking trying to be rich.
We spend a lot of time making these movies, and at the end of it, we're never completely satisfied with what we've made. And I think even if people who watched it thought it was something perfect, we'd still never be satisfied. I'm just really glad that David tries really hard to make things.
Persistence is pretty much the name of the game, and just keep trying and trying again. Listen to what your audience is telling you. You need to be able to listen and use this constructive criticism.
I'm really thankful for other people who feel the same about making films and put as much, hard work and blood and sweat and tears into making something that, maybe not a whole bunch of people are going to see, because that makes me feel like I can do it too, and then so on. And I'm really thankful that, people like David, who are super creative and talented and, have really amazing ideas, that, he's doing it. He's, putting his work out into the world, and people might not always understand it, but he doesn't care. He just, loves creating, and you can tell.
My own movie brings me to tears. It means a lot to me. The story, the characters. I have made what I think might be my shitty, low-budget magnum opus. I think in Acorn, I said a lot of what I want to say. Does not mean I'm done. I am not done. Does not mean I have perfected my craft. I am years, I'm decades away from doing that. If I ever do it, if I'm ever that fortunate. It does not mean that we all did our best. Many of us didn't. Even I didn't. On every shooting day and every day editing, even I failed. This is not a perfect movie. This is a cheap movie. It is a small movie, but it is a movie that a small handful of people who really believe in movies made for the right reason, because they wanted to make a movie that said something. Just so happens it's a movie that said something about making movies, about making movies, about making movies. And I think that spoke to our cast and crew, and it certainly speaks to me. And I hope that because it did that, that it can speak to the 7 or 8 people who might pay to, own it and view it. Acorn, for me, is special. It is, I hope, the last bad movie that I will make. And it is also the first good movie that I will make, that I have made. I love this movie. I get verklempt just thinking about it. I mostly get emotional thinking about 2 scenes in particular. The 2 scenes that are the heart of Acorn and the movie inside of Acorn, Die Standing Up. One, the climax of Acorn, and then the other, the climax of the movie within Acorn, Die Standing Up. In the climax of Acorn, our hero, a dying filmmaker, confronts this weird, man-eating, magical tree that has been growing up through the firmament of her life, and it just appears where it needs to appear to make her story make sense. And the tree protects her, but it doesn't promise to save her. It just stands there. And she confronts this thing, whatever it is, and she talks to it. And it's a speech that we repeat in the movie within the movie that our filmmaker has written. It's these twin echoing monologues that I think, as succinctly as possible, express what I believe about the universe and art and myself. and which my leading ladies, the loves of my life, say for me in this movie that I poured every ounce of my being into. Here we are at the end of things. If we get this shot, our movie's in the can.
Well, a movie about our movies in the can. It's not nothing, Tree. It's something. I'm in costume. Got the hat on. A wig.
Lights good, fog sticking, cameras rolling and sound speeding.
We're all doing our parts. Your turn.
I don't know what you are, Tree. I don't know if I manifested you or you manifested me.
Maybe it's the cancer. Maybe I'm already dead, and this is... You are. My dying dream. Or nightmare.
Are you going to destroy me or save me?
Does it matter what I want?
I tell myself I wrote this story, but did I? I took what the universe gave me and I trimmed off the edges, badly, and what's left is you.
I've read all the books, seen all the plays, studied all the religions, tried all the philosophies. I know a metaphor when I see one, you dumb hunk of bark. I did my best, Tree. I wasn't always the best person, but I tried. I really tried. Do you know that? I worked hard. Maybe what I wanted was stupid, but at least I fought. To the goddamn bitter end, I fought.
You know that. And we made movies. We made them from nothing. So, I don't know. Every time Caylin and I watch this movie, we gotta hug it out at the end. Because I think we both made something that says something about who we are and what we want and where we've been and where we're going and why we do this crazy fucking stupid thing.
Those words like hit me in the gut, like whenever I think about them to this day. And that's really special. I'm just like really thankful that he didn't just fire me when I was having, you know, issues and made us have a pickup day and refilm a whole scene. Like he had to have a lot of patience, and I'm thankful that he did, because I'm a better person because of it. And yeah, I'm just thankful that he's putting his creative mind out into the world for people to see, because it's really special.
I make movies because I can't not. I make movies because if I didn't, what would I be? A fraction of myself. I am not good at this, but one day I will be. I have not said everything that I want to say, but one day I will. I don't know that what I've said so far means anything. Someday, it might. Someday I'm going to say and do something beautiful, and I'm going to record it. And I'm going to cut it together into a story. And I'm going to show other people. It has already given my life meaning, and I already know it can give my life more meaning.
As a creative, like, it's not a choice.
Like you said, create or die. I think that a lot of people don't realize that that's how we feel in this industry sometimes.
It was a gift that was given to you that, like, we don't have a choice but to use it. It's got to come out somehow.
It's just me saying it, but I feel like we're all trying to leave a legacy in one way or another. I want to leave something for my kids to be able to see me later on, after I'm gone. I didn't think they would fully understand, like, and they don't have the scripts and stuff that they see me in, you know, and but they are absolutely like the world is blown. Like, Dad is on the TV. Do you see that? He's on the TV. That's my dada. That's my dada. That's what he does. He's an actor.
I know my family, my dad gets the love of creativity. He gets that. My parents still haven't seen a single movie I've done. They've never watched anything I've done. One day, maybe. A lot of my friends get the need for a creative outlet and release. But again, a lot of people just view it as needing to be a weirdo. Needing to be a weirdo. I think that's part of life. If you're not going out and exploring your limits, you're staying in your own little comfort bubble, if you will. I'm a firm believer getting out of that bubble. It makes life worth living, having a creative outlet, having something that allows you to express whatever it is you need to get out of yourself.
And acting for me is a way to let it all go. Frick, I'm gonna cry. Sorry. Yeah, I just think that, geez. I'm not very good at talking through crying. I feel like life is a lot sometimes for a lot of people. And it is really easy to just think that you're alone in whatever you're going through, or you're too much, or you're not enough. And I think that acting helps me, feel the things that I don't allow myself to feel in my real life. And if that can reach somebody and make somebody feel like they are enough, or like they're not alone, then, that's magic.
Do it. If you've got a goal or a dream or a passion, don't sit around for forever. Go ahead and make that happen. You never know when is going to be the end. And if you've got something that you want to make happen that is your idea, pursue it with everything. What do you have to lose?
Start somewhere, start with something, because even if you don't make it big or make tons of money or whatever, you'll still feel better on the inside.
Making tiny, dumb, weird movies is not only worth it, it's been a bargain.